Hello students, welcome to the lecture on organizational behavior, and after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Understand the concept of organizational behavior, discuss the nature and features of organizational behavior, describe the historical development of organizational behavior, explain the organizational development strategies, understand the elements of organizational behavior system, discuss the HAWTHORNE experiments, discuss the basic approaches of organizational behavior. Now let's begin with the introduction of the topic. Organizational behavior is a field of study that investigates the impact that individuals, groups, and organizational structures have on behavior within the organization for the purpose of applying such knowledge towards improving an organizational effectiveness. Organizational behavior, OB, involves integration of studies undertaken relating to behavioral sciences like psychology, sociology, anthropology, economics, social psychology, and political science. Let's see the following video and we will review the above.
In Chapter 1, you're going to get a definition of what is an organization. And you'll find that it's an interdependent system of two or more people trying to reach a particular goal. That definition applies to any kind of an organization and is absolutely basic to what we're going to do throughout the semester. Because if you looked at the name of the course, it said organizational behavior and diversity. Now the diversity part of it we'll deal with more beginning next week. But the organizational behavior part encompasses the knowledge that we have from sociology, social psychology, political science, and all the social sciences about these formal systems called organizations. And you're in one. It's called the University of New Mexico. You're in another one. It's called this classroom. And are you enrolled in more than one class, sir? How many, sir? 4. Okay, you're in 4 organizations, each differing from the other, right? And different professors, different students, different topics, different goals, and so on. So we have, in your lives, you have lived through various types of organizations. If you are employed, you're in an employing organization, and so on with school. Then we have 2 different branches of knowledge that are contained in the course and in the book. One is called organizational behavior, the other is organizational theory. That may not sound like a distinction to you, but when you read that section, I think you will see that organizational behavior is the interdisciplinary science of looking at people's behavior in organizations and trying to understand it. So it includes a whole batch of fairly powerful ideas, such as human perception and how that affects people's behavior, the role of personality in one's behavior in a system, the leadership processes, the conflict processes, the motivational processes. And if you look at the syllabus, you'll see the major topic areas cover a whole batch of items. Organizational theory typically deals with the structure of an organization. Now, remember, for those of you who were here when we got started, I commented that I wanted you to move down into the forward part. I don't think I want you to do that. I want to see what happens. This room seats about 100 people. And I let the course go to 50. It originally was capped at 40, but I kept getting requests, so I opened it up, and none of you need yellow cards signed, I'm assuming. Nobody, okay. But what is already apparent to me, and we've been together for 42 minutes, that there's subgroups in this room. I predict, ma'am, that you're going to sit in that seat for the entire semester. She put her gum under the seat. I predict. Watch what's going to happen. I'll predict that you're going to sit in that seat all semester, and then you'll change and you go back up there. But I'm looking at clusters. Do you 3 know each other? Right.
I peed on my seat already.
Well, that's right. And then you put your gum underneath, you're home. That's a subgroup. And that's the way organizations break out into clusters of people. And do you happen to know anybody in this room? Yourself? No. But I can see clusters where even if you're not speaking to each other in a side conversation, possibly you know each other. And we do that. We will put distance between ourselves and strangers. And then we'll get a little bit closer to people that we know. And then if you go to Brazil, they are in your face. I'm telling you, the guys stand there, they pull on each other's coat. They did this to me when I went to Brazil several years ago. You know, I'm backing away. You'll learn that there's spatial distances that are the norm in certain cultures. Ours is like about 5 feet, 3, 5, 4, 5 feet, something of that sort. Others are much closer. People stand closer to each other. All right, I'll let the rest of the chapter, except for what I'm going to write on the board here, let it speak for itself, because I'd like to demonstrate the use of the film scene so that you can understand that it is not entertainment only. I have a purpose to it. It's a learning purpose and a teaching purpose. And I've done it in at least 11 countries outside the United States where English is not the native language in most of the cases, and this stuff is powerful. And it's no joke. I own at least 1,000 films and adding to it rather regularly. If you, in Chapter 1, there is a section called Historical Foundations. Now, this is history, and it goes back to 1911, almost 100 years. And it's a history of organizational and management thinking as deposited by a group of scholars who, in the field, are renowned for what they contributed. And I'm going to summarize this, let you read the detail in the chapter. I don't want to go through every single item. And then I want to see if we can discover any of these ideas, going back to 1911, in the film scenes that I choose to show to you. So the first one is called scientific management. Now, in this chapter, I happen to use people's names, but you're not required to memorize people's names. If they appear on the examination at all, they appear in parentheses, simply as a reminder. So I don't have to memorize the names, but I want you to know who these personalities are. This one comes from a guy by the name of Frederick Taylor, who is highlighted in a film called Cheaper by the Dozen, the original one. Not the, I think it was a remake of it, but anyway, he's in the original. And he introduced something called time and motion study, which was a way of studying work processes to find out the optimal way to carry out the goal of the process. Well, as an example, it's one of his most famous studies of shoveling coal in an iron foundry. If you know anything about coal, and there's no reason you should, hard coal, soft coal, just as the range, would you say that soft coal weighs less per mass than hard coal? The answer is yes. And when Taylor came to this iron foundry, he saw that when the workers went to get their shovels from whoever dispensed the shovels, they got handed a shovel that was like random. It had nothing to do with what you were doing. So just think, I hand you a big shovel, I hand you a little shovel, a big shovel, and a big shovel. Now you're going to go out with that big shovel, pretend it's a snow shovel, and you're going to shovel hard coal. And you're going to go with your itty-bitty shovel, and you're going to shovel soft coal. Is there any logic to this at all? No. And Taylor said, you're crazy. You weigh the coal, you figure out how much is in a certain mass of it that a shovel will hold, and then you assign the shovel size to the person who's going to shovel certain kinds of coal. they did it in an improved efficiency. Now, the logic there is an analysis of the work system and coming up with a better way of doing what is necessary to do. Then along came a Frenchman whose name is Henri Fayol. His book that he wrote was obviously originally published in French and not translated into English until the 1940s. But this is 1911. This is 1919. He was a manager of a French mining firm. And he discovered that there seemed to be a set of guiding rules about how to manage an organization, such as having people reporting to a single individual, not a whole mass of people, following a chain of command. And I'm paraphrasing. I'll let the text give you the details. And with the publication of this in 1919 and eventually in English in the United States in the early 1940s, we had the first comprehensive view of how to manage.
Organizational behavior can be defined as the study and application of knowledge about human behavior related to other elements of an organization, such as structure, technology, and social systems. The ultimate aim of the study is to ensure that the human behavior contributes towards growth of the organization and greater efficiency is achieved. Stephen P. Robbins defines organizational behavior as a systematic study of the actions and attitudes that people exhibit within organizations. Concept of organizational behavior. Organizational behavior, OB, is the systematic study of the actions and attitudes that people exhibit within organizations. The concept is based on the fact that no two individuals are likely to behave in the same manner in a particular work situation. It is both individual behavior and group dynamics in organizations. The tools that are often used to elicit responses of individuals located in different types of organizations include questionnaire, interview, simulation, and survey. Cause and effect relationship plays an important role in how an individual is likely to behave in a particular situation and its impact on productivity. The value system, emotional intelligence, organizational culture, job design, and the work environment are important causal agents in determining human behavior. Contributing fields to organizational behavior. Psychology. Psychology is an applied science which attempts to explain human behavior in a particular situation and predicts actions of individuals. Psychologists have been able to modify individual behavior largely with the help of various studies. These instruments are scientific in nature and have been finalized after a great deal of research. Sociology. Science of sociology studies the impact of culture on group behavior and has contributed to a large extent to the field of group dynamics, roles that individual plays in the organization, communication, norms, status, power, conflict management, and group decision making. Political science. Political science has contributed to the field of organizational behavior. Stability of government at national level is one major factor for promotion of international business, financial investments, expansion, and employment. Social psychology working organizations are formal assembly of people who are assigned specific jobs and play a vital role in formulating human behavior. It is a subject where concept of psychology and sociology are blended to achieve better human behavior in organization. Anthropology. It is a field of study relating to human activities in various cultural and environmental frameworks. It understands difference in behavior based on value system of different cultures of various countries. Organizations are bound by its culture that is formed by human beings. Characteristics of organization. Before getting deeper into the concepts of organizational behavior, let us understand the true meaning of an organization. A group of individuals form an organization. Orientation towards achieving common goals. A continuous process of identifying and grouping of activities. Defining and delegation of authority and responsibility. Coordination of activities. Establishment of formal and informal relationships. Executive leadership. Model of organizational behavior, OB. Here are the major important models of organizational behavior that you must be aware of. Autocratic. The basis of this model is power with a managerial orientation of authority. Custodial. The basis of this model is economic resources with a managerial orientation of money. Supportive. The basis of this model is leadership with the managerial orientation of support. Collegial. The basis of this model is partnership with the managerial orientation of teamwork. Nature and features of organizational behavior. It is a part of general management that majorly represents behavioral approach to management. It contains a body of theory, research, application associated when a growing concern for in workplace. The study of theories and research experiences facilitates creative thinking to solve human problems in organizations. It is heavily influenced by several other behavioral sciences and social sciences like psychology, sociology, and anthropology. It provides rational thinking about people at 3 levels, that is, individual behavior, group behavior, and organizational behavior. Features of organizational behavior. Organization behavior is both art and science. It is considered an art because it contains knowledge about behavior of individuals. It is considered a science because it involves application of science. Organization behavior is dynamic rather than static. Its essence is reflected in change in behavior of individuals in organization. It attempts to reduce the wasteful activities through economic and psychological means, and thus increasing the effectiveness of the people and the organization. Influences on behavior. The influence of this subject on human behavior can be understood at different levels, which are individual. It is the role of management to integrate the individual and the organization and to provide a working environment that permits the satisfaction of individual needs as well as the attainment of organizational goals. Group. Groups exist in all organizations and are essential to their working and performance. The organization comprises groups of people, and almost everyone in an organization will be a member of one or more groups. An understanding of group structure and behavior complements knowledge of individual behavior and adds a further dimension to the study of organizational behavior. Organization. Individuals and groups interact within the structure of the formal organization. Structure is created to establish relationships between individuals and groups, to provide order and systems, and to direct the efforts of the organization into goal-seeking activities. Environment. The organization functions as part of the broader external environment of which it is a part. The effects of the operation of the organization within its environment are reflected in terms of the management of opportunities and risks and the regard for corporate responsibility and ethical behavior. Organizational development. The concept of organizational behavior would remain incomplete without understanding its relationship with organizational development. As the name signifies, organizational development, OD, is a planned, ongoing effort by organizations to change in order to become more effective. The OD processes include using knowledge of behavioral science to encourage an organizational culture of continual examination and readiness for change. An organization can focus OD change efforts in several areas such as changes to structure, technology, and people using a variety of strategies for development. Let's understand these methods in detail. Changes in work design to permit more specialization or enrichment, clarification of job descriptions and job expectations, increase or decrease of the span of control, modification of policies or procedures, and changes in the power or authority structure. Another general approach to planned change involves modifications in the technology used as tools to accomplish work. The third general approach to change focuses on the people in the organization. This approach is intended to improve employee skills, attitudes, or motivation, and can take many forms, such as introducing training programs to enhance work skills, increasing communication effectiveness, developing decision-making skills, or modifying attitudes to increase work motivation. Organizational development strategies. Several strategies that are often thought of as effective techniques for organization development include re-engineering, team building, total quality management, job enrichment, and survey feedback. Re-engineering is the sweeping redesign of organizational processes to achieve major improvements in efficiency, productivity, and quality. The term team building begins with a diagnostic session where the team's members examine their strengths and weaknesses. It is to improve the effectiveness of work teams by refining interpersonal interactions, improving communication, and clarifying goals and tasks in order to improve overall effectiveness in accomplishing goals. Total quality management, TQM, is the term used to describe comprehensive efforts to monitor and improve all aspects of quality within a firm. Teamwork plays a major role in quality improvement. Total quality management efforts could include employee training, identification and measurement of indicators of quality, increased attention to work processes, and an emphasis on preventing errors in production and service. Job enrichment is often thought of as a technique of OD. It involves changing a job by adding additional tasks and by adding more responsibility. Survey feedback involves collecting data from organizational members. These data are then shared with the members during meetings. In these meetings, suggestions for formulating change are made based on the trends that emerge from the data. Elements of organizational behavior system. The key elements in organizational behavior are people. People make up the internal social system of the organization. They consist of individuals and groups, and large groups as well as small ones. Organizations exist to serve people. People do not exist to serve organizations. The workforce is one of the critical resources that need to be managed. Structure. Structure defines the official relationships of people in organizations. Different jobs are required to accomplish all of an organization's activities. There are managers and employees, accountants and assemblers. These people have to be related in some structural way so that their work can be effective. Technology. Technology provides the physical and economic resources with which people work. The great benefit of technology is that it allows people to do more and better work, but it also restricts people in various ways. It has costs as well as benefits. External elements. All organizations operate within an external environment. It is part of a larger system that contains thousands of other elements. All these mutually influence each other in a complex system that becomes the lifestyle of the people. Individual organizations such as a factory or school cannot escape from being influenced by this external environment. It influences the attitudes of people, affects working conditions, and provides competition for resources and power. Hawthorne experiments. The name Hawthorne experiments is not at all new to the ears. I would like to throw some light on the concepts propounded by Hawthorne. Illumination tests. These tests involved number of test room studies to determine the relationship between illumination and worker efficiency. The basic idea was to vary and record levels of illumination in a test room with the expectation that as lighting was increased, productivity would too. Relay assembly tests. In order to observe the impact of these other factors, a second set of tests was begun before the completion of the illumination studies. The relay assembly tests were designed to evaluate the effect rest periods and hours of work would have on efficiency. The one consistent conclusion was that employees felt more positive about the work environment when an interviewer or listener showed interest. Bank wiring tests. The final stage of the studies was the bank wiring tests, which began in November 1931. The test room housed 9 wirers, 3 soldiers and 2 inspectors. All were males between the ages of 20 and 25. Their job was to wire conductor banks, a repetitive and monotonous task. The purpose of the bank wiring tests was to observe and study social relationships and social structures within a group, issues raised by 2 other significant members of the research team, W. Lloyd Warner and William J. Dixon. Basic approaches of organizational behavior. The basic approaches of organizational behavior are an interdisciplinary approach. It is integrating many disciplines. It integrates social sciences and other disciplines that can contribute to the organizational behavior. It draws from these disciplines any ideas that will improve the relationships between people and organization. Its interdisciplinary nature is similar to that of medicine, which applies physical, biological, and social science into a workable medical practice. Organizations must have people, and people working towards goals must have organizations, so it is desirable to treat the two as a working unit. Scientific management approach. The fundamental concern of the scientific management school was to increase the efficiency of the worker, basically through good job design and appropriate training of the workers. Taylor is the father of the scientific management movement, and he developed many ideas to increase organizational efficiency. Taylor showed that through proper job design, worker selection, employee training and incentives, productivity can be increased. The scientific management school advocated that efficiency can be attained by finding the right methods to get the job done through specialization on the job, by planning and scheduling, by using standard operating mechanisms, establishing standard times to do the job, by proper selection and training of personnel, and through wage incentives. A human resources supportive approach. It is developmental approach concerned with the growth and development of people towards higher levels of competency, creativity, and fulfillment, because people are the central resource in any organizations and any society. It helps people grow in self-control and responsibility, and then it tries to create a climate in which all employees may contribute to the limits of their improved abilities. Essentially, the human resources approach means that better people achieve better results. A contingency approach. Traditional management relies on one basic principle. There is one best way of managing things, and these things can be applied across the board in all the instances. The situational effect will be totally ignored in this traditional management. Situations are much more complex than first perceived, and the different variables may require different behavior, which means that different environments required different behavior for effectiveness. Each situation must be analyzed carefully to determine the significant variables that exist in order to establish the kinds of practices that will be more effective. A systems approach. This implies that organization consists of many interrelated and interdependent elements affecting one another in order to achieve the overall results. Summary. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learnt in this lecture. Organizational behavior is a field of study that investigates the impact that individuals, groups, and organizational structure have on behavior within the organization for the purpose of applying such knowledge towards improving organizational effectiveness. Psychology is an applied science which attempts to explain human behavior in a particular situation and predicts actions of individuals. Working organizations are formal assembly of people who are assigned specific jobs and play a vital role in formulating human behavior. It is a subject where concepts of psychology and sociology are blended to achieve better human behavior in organization. It is an interdisciplinary approach, is integrating many disciplines. It integrates social sciences and other disciplines that can contribute to the organizational behavior. Traditional management relies on one basic principle. There is one best way of managing things, and these things can be applied across the board in all the instances.